All right, Sam. So a little bit behind on video review, but I hopefully have improved the way that I'm doing it. So let's have a look at we're going way back to some pause snatches. So nice in the start position. We do have a little bit of a kick forward around the knee. So like you'll see the bar go forward a little bit right off the floor there. Can you see that? Okay. Position at the knees pretty decent, to be honest. Like we see that vertical arm, which tells us the shoulders stacked nicely over the bar. There is a little bit of a shift, right? Where you start in the right place, and then, if I can get it. I need to get back a little more. So this is a good position. And then there's that shift right there. You see that? So you come up, and there's that little tiny shift where your knees come forward a little bit before you actually do the snatch. You got to watch out for that. Okay, just bear with me a second. Let's have a look. Some clean front squat. Pretty solid clean. No issues with that really. Yeah. Nice and solid. Slight break in the elbow. Like ideally, we'd eliminate that, but it's quite small, so it's not causing you any issues. Pretty balanced in the receiving position. Okay, this was last week where it's a bit lighter, so we can compare in a second to some heavier ones. I do normally watch all of the videos. I'm just trying to make it quick so you don't have to sit there for 10 minutes. These were interesting. I remember I watched these when you first sent them to me, and it's like the bar's moving super quickly, and then all of a sudden you just miss. So it is worth noting your heels are coming up. So I don't know whether it's like if that miss is maybe just caused by balance rather than strength. Let's have a look at what happens when you actually fail it, because that last rep was pretty easy. Okay. Let's have a look at the position. Going down nicely. All right, so if we look at on that last rep. So on the way down, and into the bottom, we're nice and stacked, right? Then what's going to happen is, as you come up, that's a good rep. Okay, that's a good example, right? You pretty much sit on that line the whole way up. So on the next rep, you come down on the line, and then now we're going forward, right? So instead of being stacked over the middle of your foot, like over the ankle where we should be, you can see how far forward of that line the bar went before you missed it. So this isn't like a strength thing so much as like you can see yourself traveling forward of like the most efficient line. Whereas if we compare that to the previous rep, see how you're behind the line or on the line the whole time? So like if the bar isn't over the base of support, the levers get worse. So like the reason you miss that squat, like it's obviously not strength, right? Because that fourth rep is moving super quick. It's about balance. So maybe what we need to do in the next block is put in some pause squats. Because like even on the good reps, we got that there, like where, let's try and find a better example. See how the heel's coming off the ground at the bottom? So we need to just recalibrate your sense of balance here a bit further back, and that should improve that quite significantly. Okay. All right, we got some misses here. Snatch balance, pause in the receiving position. Okay, pretty ropey start. All right, so the first thing we can see is like an immediate forward shift, right? So we've got that very slight jump forward. The bar's going pretty straight. And then also, as I've mentioned before, you're kind of sticking your head forward out here. Like, really, your head should be back here. So, like, your head is quite a significant proportion of your mass. So if you throw it forward, it's going to throw your balance forward quite a bit. And then we can see here, the balance of the whole system is really forward. So, like, the reason that snatch balance was so rough is kind of two parts. One is you're slightly off balance anyway because you've got a small jump forward, and the other one is like you're diving your head and your chest forward, and like that shifts your weight forward, right, and makes you unbalanced. So what you need to do is like dip and drive with a little bit, like with your weight like slightly further back, but then also like as you sit down into the overhead squat, you need to keep your torso upright. If you lean through, then you're gonna miss. And that all starts with the head, right? If you fix this head thing, that there, like, you just need to move your head back a little bit, and that instantly is gonna make a huge difference to this. Again, not a strength thing, because we know you've snatched balance like 100 kilos, right? So we'll say you probably had about 80 kilos on there. Power clean and push press. I'll have a quick look. I imagine these are going to look pretty good because you're good at push press. I'm going to put some audio on there. Yeah, put the positions in the power clean. Yeah, it's pretty clean. That's a really nice vertical dip there, well done. Yeah, as expected. Nailed that. Good job. Front squat jerk. So we've got the same thing as the back squats, right? Watch what happens with your feet at the very bottom. You see that? Do you know what? It's not as bad as I thought it was when I first saw the first rep. What does stand out is like there's a big forward shift overall, like on your like as you dip. Let me bring it back. Okay, so the first thing I noticed, right? This toe being off the ground suggests you're like super far back in your heels. Now, like you need to be balanced because if you're all the way back, you're gonna slide forward as you dip. But you'll see in a second that you've got this like general like forward slide as you dip for this jerk. Okay. Yeah. Show you again. Yeah, hopefully you can see that. So, like, if you can work on staying balanced, right, a dip and drive, that's really going to improve your, like, the trajectory of your jerks. The other thing, as you know, is the back leg was a little bit straighter than we would have liked. Singles in the snatch, let's find an 86% towards the end. That's not a snatch, that's a clean. That's a front squat jerk, that's why I scrolled down too far. Is that a pop out window? Oh, that's not helpful. clean? Yeah. Nice. We're also improving that funky elbow thing. Like, there's a little bit. Like, it's still because your arms turn back, but it's getting better than it was. You can see this, like the tension going in your arms as you get into that power position. You just lose a little bit of speed there. But this is a perfect power position. Like, heels down flat, nice bend in the knee, vertical torso, so that when you extend your knees, you get that nice straight leg drive. That's a really nice snatch overall. Still got to work on keeping those arms internally rotated as you pull, but it's pretty damn good. All right, front squat jerk. Sorry, clean front squat. Oh, clean front squat jerk. Okay, I'm not loading that one. Oh, okay, this is like classic you though, right? Nice pull. Like, this heel coming up there, it's not because the bar's forward, it's just because of like your sense of balance in the receiving position. Like, you tend to just slide forward. Like, if you're doing that in your back squats, then, which is obviously a much less technical movement, then you've got no chance of not doing it in your cleans and snatches, right? So we need to work on doing some pauses in the bottom of various squat variations, but you need to be really conscious of like when your heel comes off the ground, right? Because we just need to repattern that squat a little bit. Okay. Yeah, not bad. I'd like you to be slightly further over the bar, but it is pretty nice overall, to be honest. That there, like, you should be able to maintain your balance in the pull, but you can see you fall down straight away, right? Because that means you're slightly too far back, just ever so slightly. But like, that's a really good indicator of how good your balance is. Like, can you maintain this top position like you did on that rep? Which is a nice clean rep to finish the set. Okay, so like, this so far I've not picked the ones we've said, oh, that was a bad like lift, because it's better to look at the general trend rather than the sort of like occasional set where you make a mistake and you already know about the mistake. But since you felt like you've consistently forward, we can take a look at this. Okay. I'm trying to get a frame where we can see how the feet contact the ground. Like, can you see here, like, it's not that the bar's really far back, right? Like, if we've got the barbell here and the base of support here, they're stacked, right? If the barbell was over here, I'd be like, yeah, the problem is that the lift is forward, but it's not. It's back here, right? So the issue here is just coming from the feet. It's like your pull is not terrible. Your pull's quite good, in fact, but you're not creating stability from the base. So like, building with a shit foundation is going to fall down, isn't it? We need to fix that first. So that's a pretty classic example. So plan going forward in the next block is, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of squat variations with pauses. And what you need to do is make sure that you're actually balanced with your heel down in those squats. It's going to feel like you're really far back in your heels. In reality, I want you to be balanced in the middle of your foot, but because you're always on your forefoot, you need to shift back. It's primarily the pressure through the foot, not the balance of the system. So generally speaking, your center of mass tends to be pretty much over your feet, or maybe slightly forward, but like all the pressure is through the front of your foot. So if you can start getting pressure down through the heel, then you'll have a much bigger base, right? Like you're only using this much of your foot because you're not using your heel, and you need to use this much of your foot. Then you've got a much bigger base, and you'll be way more stable. Okay, this is kind of a new format. That's already 15 minutes, so that's why obviously I didn't do every single video because it would be like an hour long, and you'd probably just find it really boring. But hopefully that's helpful. If you have specific questions about things that I haven't covered, then let me know. But primarily, like the issue is coming from the feet and like the foot pressure. So if we can fix that, we should be able to see some drastic improvement. All right, hopefully this uploads and isn't in horrible quality. Let me know how you find this style of feedback, please.